ladies and gentlemen, may I request Mr. Sarmad Ali, President APNS, to please join us on the stage. Mr. Batra, CEO, Exchange for Media,
Chairman.
and CEO and Chairman, please join us on the stage, Mr. Batra. Mr. Masood Hamid, Secretary General APNS, please join us on the stage.
अच्छा, ये तालियां बड़ी फीबली चल रही है। अभी तो ये 2 दिन का समिट है, अभी से एनर्जी लेवल्स इतनी कम है तो कैसे होगा? चलें, एक बार ताली और बजा दें अगर लगता है कि मैं साड़ी में खूबसूरत लग रही हूं कि नहीं लग रही। हाँ, शुक्रिया।
सरमद अली साहब किधर हैं? आ रहे हैं, सरमद साहब आ रहे हैं।
सरमद साहब को पिछले 2 दिन में मैंने जितना देखा है फोन के ऊपर, उफ तौबा, टेलीफोन एक्सचेंज। मैं सोचती थी मिस्टर बत्रा इज अ टेलीफोन एक्सचेंज।
चलिए, सरमद साहब ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं हमें, और जैसे ही वो आते हैं तो हम प्रोसीडिंग स्टार्ट करेंगे।
Mr. Sarmad Ali, if you can hear us, we're waiting for you.
Sarmad Ali, President APNS.
Okay, great. All right. ख़वातीन और हज़रात, इस अंजुमन में आपका तहे दिल से इस्तकबाल करती हूँ। मेरा नाम है सुपर्णा, मैं एक्सचेंज फॉर मीडिया की एडिटोरियल कंसल्टेंट हूँ और इस समिट की को होस्ट भी हूँ और क्यूरेटर भी हूँ। एंड दैट्स अबाउट ऑल ऑफ द उर्दू दैट आई नो।
Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin this historic two-day event, we'll start proceedings with the national anthem of Pakistan. I request all of you to please switch off your mobile phones first and rise for the national anthem. Thank you.
हर नेक काम की शुरुआत ऊपर वाले का शुक्र अदा करके होती है। We will now request Mr. Mumtaz Tahir, member of the Executive Committee APNS and editor Daily Aftab, to come and recite a few lines from the Holy Quran.
तशरीफ लाइए मुमताज साहब।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم فإن تولوا فقل حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم صدق الله مولانا العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم.
Jazakallah.
In India, we begin each auspicious occasion by remembering the Mother Goddess Saraswati, the dispeller of darkness, of ignorance, through knowledge, through light. I'm going to recite the Saraswati Vandana here. Ya kundendu tushara har dhavala, ya shubhra vastravrita, ya veena varadanda manditakara, ya shweta padmasana, ya brahmachitya shankar prabhutibhi, devai sada vandita, sa mam patu saraswati, bhagavati nishesh jadyapaha.
Together, we are extremely honored to be a part of this maiden effort for the first South Asia Media Summit, organized by the All Pakistan Newspaper Society.
And at this point, let me tell you something about my co-host, Tawqir. Tawqir Mohajir has been associated with the media business for over 25 years. You don't look that old.
Thank you.
He has been associated with prestigious publications like Khalij Times, Gulf News, and Dawn in senior management positions. His last employment position in '93 was the GM Dawn Group of Publications, when he founded Financial Post and later on the holding company Millennium Media. Besides representing Khalij Times in Pakistan, he's a publisher of 3 magazines: Money, Fashion, Collection, and South Asian arts magazine Nigah. Tawqir has also co-authored a book on art called 6 Decades of Painting in Pakistan, mashallah.
Thank you, Suparna. It's time for me to talk about Mr. Sarmad Ali, the president of the APNS. Sarmad will present his welcome address just now. As you all know, Sarmad Ali is the managing director of marketing and advertising for the Jung Group. He's responsible for the sales of print, electronic, and online brands of the group. This includes 8 of the country's leading print titles, including Jung and the News. Sarmad has over 20 years experience, I think closer to 30. Yeah. And he has been associated with the Jung Group since 1994, when he joined the group as executive director of the News. Prior to joining the Jung Group, Sarmad has been associated with some of the country's leading advertising companies, including IEL Saatchi, where he worked as director client services for about 5 years before joining the Jung Group. May I now request, ladies and gentlemen, to put your hands together for Mr. Sarmad Ali.
Thank you, Tawqir. Mr. Javed Jabbar, Mr. Fasih Iqbal, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. First of all, let me just say here that although Tawqir says that it's been something like 30 years, I would like to believe that it's been closer to 15 or 16 years since I started out my career. But Richard Byrd once said, "Give wind and tide a chance to change." This South Asia Media Summit, ladies and gentlemen, is that chance for the Pakistan's media industry. It is my privilege to welcome all of you to this first inaugural South Asia Media Summit 2013. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to speakers and delegates from India and Sri Lanka who have made it to Pakistan despite very heavy odds and have and helped us turn our dream into a reality. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in very interesting times, and we live in very difficult times. We live in times of flux for not only our country, but also for our industry. And what we have gone through in organizing this summit in the last 8 or 6 weeks tells us a lot about us living in difficult and interesting times. As some of you may know, the summit was originally scheduled for mid-January this year. But due to the dharna and sit-in of our favorite Allama Tahirul Qadri, we had to postpone the summit to the current dates. The last 3 days have actually been very challenging, to say the least. From speakers and delegates facing 5 to 8 hours flight delays at, at airports of their origin, to actually missing their flights. From trying to obtain a landing permit for Mr. Subhash Chandra's personal aircraft to actually making him walk half a kilometer outside the Islamabad airport where his car was parked. From Mr. Ravi Dhariwal's missing his flight from Lahore to Islamabad to actually taking him through the motorway to Islamabad, and I'm sure he should be arriving here any minute. These and many such events made us miss many heartbeats. They actually gave us many heart attacks. But here we are, giving wind and tide a chance. And this can only happen, my friends, in Pakistan, where you try to make it despite very heavy odds and try to make a success of problems around us. For all these glitches, for all these delays, and for all the concerns that we cause you, I would like to apologize to our colleagues from India and Sri Lanka and promise that we will try to make up to them in the next 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in times where everything that we have known is changing around us. The media business is changing at a speed faster perhaps than any other industry. And we have to grasp this change at the same speed. Otherwise, we will be left behind and become irrelevant. You may ask me and my colleagues at the APNS as to why we have organized the South Asia Media Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been organized with the sole objective of making a difference to our members and help them increase their knowledge. We hope that you, the members of the All Pakistan Newspaper Society, are able to learn from other markets and professionals and entrepreneurs from across the border. And this exchange of ideas and sharing of best practices, I'm sure, will help all of us. We intend to convert the South Asia Media Summit into an annual event. And I hope to take it outside Pakistan to perhaps India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and even Bhutan. This is a dream, and I hope all of you and all those who are not even here will try to help me make this dream into a reality. James Bond, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, had one quality. We in the media, my friends, have to learn the art of reinvention. We have to learn the art of staying relevant, like James Bond did. And we will have to do it by changing our skill sets, developing new partners, and embracing change and nurturing talent. We in the media space live and think in terms of today. We do not live for tomorrow. By thinking for tomorrow, today, this conference, I hope, will give us ideas to retain relevant in tomorrow's landscape. We in Pakistani media are facing unique challenges. Print is under tremendous pressure. From having a 48% share of the total advertising market, it has come down to something like 33% this year. Digital looks promising, but I don't see any revenues or significant revenues coming from digital. There is increased media fragmentation. Costs are going up, yields are going down, and then there is no strategic vision. I hope this conference will provide us this strategic vision. This conference will help us find some answers to the unique challenges that we are facing and help us develop a roadmap to remaining relevant to the changing times. This year we celebrate 50 years of James Bond and 50 years of his vitality, and even 50 years we find his character vibrant. This year, APNS also turns 60, 10 years older than James Bond. The society was formed in 1953, and 2013 marks our 60th anniversary. And are we as an industry vibrant at 60, as James Bond is at 50? I hope when we finish here tomorrow, we are at least determined to become vibrant and relevant again. Because we hope to celebrate, at least I hope to celebrate, whether I'm there or not, our 75th and our 100th anniversary in the years to come. We can only do so if we keep on reinventing ourselves, if we keep on becoming relevant to change. That is only how newspapers, ladies and gentlemen, will survive in the new media ecosystem. Because, ladies and gentlemen, as they say, tomorrow. I would like to offer my gratitude to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of Pakistan.
And look forward to many such summits in the future. I'm even more pleased to be here because this is the land of my ancestors, a place that I've only heard in stories, designed to cover all aspects of the newspapers and the new media ecosystem, which is also the theme for the summit. I would like to call on the podium now the Editor-in-Chief of the Change for Media Group, Mr. Anurag Batra, to come up and formally extend a the Indian counterpart of this summit. Mr. Batra.
Please.
Good morning. Thank you, Suparna. Thank you, Toki. Thank you, Mr. Ali and Mr. Masood Hamid. Thank you to all my friends from APNS and from the Pakistani media for inviting us here and giving us an opportunity to interact with you. I must say that I met Mr. Ali about 11 years back. He and me are fellow travelers, and I started back and started doing the circuit of conferences about 11 years back, and I met him, and since then the bond between us has grown. We've collaborated on many initiatives, and about 7 years back he and me discussed doing something together, and over the last 2 years that turned into a serious discussion. And when he became the president of the APNS, he said, I want to really make a difference to what the APNS president does, and I want to make a contribution which is real. And he said, we live in a knowledge economy, we are in a knowledge business, so what better than organizing something that really helps our members, our professionals, the owners of businesses to really do their job better. And that's how the idea of the South Asia Media Summit was born. And as he said in his inaugural address, we are here today and it's a reality. So really more power to ideas. Ideas can become events, ideas can become icons, ideas can become nations. So ideas are very powerful. Normally for such occasions I make PowerPoint presentations, but as my friend from India told me that PowerPoint presentations are made by powerful who are neither powerful nor have a point of view, I decided against making a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm only going to talk to you about what my expectations from all of you and from this conference are. We have very eminent speakers from Pakistan. We have some of the biggest owners of newspapers and media businesses. From India also we have entrepreneurs. We have Mr. Subhash Chandra, who's truly a maverick and somebody who's created a huge enterprise on the basis of ideas. We have Mr. Ravi Dhariwal, the CEO of Times of India, which is India's largest media company and the largest newspaper company. We have representation from almost all parts of Indian media. We have Mr. Mitrajit Bhattacharya, who is the Vice President of the Association of Indian Magazines and runs a magazine group called Chitralekha. We have Mr. Krishna Prasad, who is the Editor-in-Chief of the Outlook Group, which, as you know, is the leading news magazine in India. We have Mr. Sam Balsara, who is the chairman of Madison and the second largest media buying and planning company in India. We have Mr. Ashish Paka, who is the CEO of the India Today Group and the past president of the Association of Indian Magazine and the past president of the Indian Newspaper Society. You know, when the theme is James Bond, and one of the things that I keep saying is that when we do these conferences, it is okay to have people like me and Mr. Ali and Mr. Hamid speaking at conferences. But when we talk about youth, who are the future audiences or current audiences, we do not have a representation of youth. So for the first time, we have a panel which is not only discussing youth and the aspirations of youth and their expectations from media and newspaper, but we have Samyak Chakravarti, who runs a youth media agency, and we have Sachin Garg, who is India's 5th best-selling author. We have Sarman Oberoi, who runs a youth media platform. We have Mr. Shah, who runs again a youth organization. So we've tried to bring from India people from all domains. We have Mr. Anand Goenka, who runs the digital part of the Indian Express business. And if I'm missing someone, pardon me. But really, we have eminent journalists like J. Gopal Krishnan, who's a special correspondent with the Pioneer, who's among India's most celebrated journalists and has done path-breaking stories. So we've tried to bring people from almost all domains of Indian media, and I'm looking forward to hearing their point of view on many things. When I was preparing for this session, I said, what would I talk to an audience that is a practitioner, who do things day in, day out. So I just, over the last 2 days I was reflecting, and I said, like our country, your country is facing many challenges. And as Mr. Ali said, the media is also hence facing a lot of challenges. And more than challenges, some of these have become existential dilemmas. And I'd like to say that really fundamentally how we define our business, how we define our purpose for being, I think that's something we have to look at. And it's my favorite example, which is almost applicable to anything. It could be applicable to the mission of my life, is the Coke example. In the World War, the then chairman of Coke said that the Coke will follow the American soldier to every part of the world. We will refresh the American soldier wherever the American soldier went. So the chairman of Coke did not define the business of Coke as in selling a certain number of bottles, but defined the business as something that makes a difference to the American soldier. On the back of that noble thought, on the back of that noble mission, really the Coke business, you know where it is today. So really the way we define our media business is something that we should look at. Also, I believe most of us, and I have to say that, I was talking to some people who were moderating from India, and they were asking me, I said, this is a country which doesn't do anything in moderation, whether it's food, whether it's hospitality, and really the kind of, every time, the reason my weight has grown is because I've been to Pakistan too often. Every time I come here, my weight goes up by 5 kg. And really that presents its own set of challenges. And I believe that most of us, in trying to create sampati, we are trying to create a selfish wealth. I think newspapers, owners, editors must try and create sampada. And sampada, as I define it, is shared wealth. And I think, to me, while I can talk to you about technical things of how to increase audiences, how to monetize better, how to make sure you're relevant for the digital ecosystem, and how you embrace this thought of creating sampada rather than only creating sampati, is something that can bring about real change. I want to give you some good news. I think I go to many conferences where there is gloom, doom, especially when it comes to newspapers. So every year in the first week of February, our marketing magazine Pitch partners with Madison, which is India's second largest media buying and planning agency. And for the 10th year, we forecasted the spends for the year. And we looked at what we had forecasted last year and were we right, were we wrong. And I want to give you a headline. For the first time in India, in the last 7 years, newspapers and print became the largest advertising medium. So last year in Indian media, 41.7% advertising revenues went to newspaper. And the reason I'm saying that anything you do in life is about self-belief. I think sometimes we in the interested in what happens in Pakistan, sometimes when we are interested in India, is really, when we talk of elections, we talk about two audiences, we talk of two constituencies, the urban India and the rural India. In India, the newspapers are growing in both the segments, not just in rural India, where the Indian language newspapers are growing, but in urban India too, newspapers continue to grow. The second headline news, I know digital is an area where in Pakistan the revenues are weak, and I know a friend of mine from India does not agree with our numbers on the digital front. He's very happy with the numbers on the print front because he comes from the print domain. But I want to tell you that last year in the Pitch Madison Advertising Outlook, the digital spends were 4%. This year, the digital spends are 8%. So from 4%, we've gone to 8% in 1 year. Digital is the way forward. So these are two big headline news. One, newspapers and print is the single largest medium of advertising in India for the first time in 7 years. I think Pakistan not only follows India in its movie, I think Pakistan also follows. Talking to you about technical things, about circulation of newspapers, about digital, about talent, about content. 3 points to make. One is, as Sarmad Bhai said, we business only live for today. I think this is the fundamental. We are not strategic. We are very, very tactical. We talk about talent creation. One of the things about James Bond was he always nurtured young talent. He always mentored young talent. And I say it in a serious sense. I don't say it in a frivolous sense. We in our industry, I mean, I go to conferences, I find the same guys speaking at every conference. And one of the things that we try and do is bring new people, the people who are. I think if we really want to make fundamental and seismic shifts in the way we do business, it has to start with talent. I think I would like to urge all of you to have a 25-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 26-year-old to be the editor of a newspaper. In India, we started doing that in some of our businesses. Media businesses are increasingly becoming multi-platform businesses. I see in Pakistan also many newspaper groups, many media groups have become multi-platform businesses. And through that, they are regaining a toehold in their constituency. As I said, the way we define our reason for being has to really lead our business. We have to look how newspapers in our countries can solve the challenges of education, how newspapers and media can solve the challenges of health. And you know, we talk about innovations in newspapers. Those are clutter-breaking things. They're really not innovation. Last year in the newspaper business in India, one of the leading newspapers, almost all leading newspapers, carried advertising from a coffee brand called Brew, where the newspaper smelled of coffee. But that's a clutter-breaking, you know, tactical advertising. That's not an innovation. A leading FMCG company launched a fragrance, so the newspaper was fragrant the next morning. But those are not innovation. Those are tactical clutter-breaking. But newspapers are not in the business of news and paper. Newspapers are in the business of news, and news is becoming audiovisual. I'm aware that in the Pakistani media landscape, English news channels. I know that Express 20 different than the way we do our business. I was at the Serena Hotel and I went to the spa, and I was looking at the menu of the spa, and then I told the manager there. I said, do you have an ego massage? I'm a journalist. He didn't get it. I think some of us in the media business don't get the changes that are happening around us. We're too busy about, and you know, I genuinely believe that most of go on. I don't really want to sermonize or talk down to you. I am myself learning every time I'm preparing for a session, every time I'm thinking about a session. And I'd like to end by saying that newspapers have a healthy future. It's about self-confidence. It's about self-invention. And I would like to recite a small Urdu couplet that I know. And I believe that it's relevant to newspaper today than ever. There is a Punjabi version of it, but I'd say, फानुस बनकर फिजा जिसकी रक्षा करे वो क्षमा क्या देगी रोशन जिसे खुदा करे. In translated in Punjabi, it means जाको राखे साइयां मार सके ना कोई. But really what I want to say is that newspaper, the audiences will keep more than the God, the audiences will keep the newspapers in business. Newspapers have a bright future. Believe in yourselves, believe in the audience's faith in newspapers.